kadosh Adonai Eloheinu ramemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu ramemu. Ramemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lahar kodsho. Ramemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lahar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu ramemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu ramemu. Ramemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lahar kodsho. Ramemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lahar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu ramemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu ramemu. Ramemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lahar kodsho. Ramemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lahar kodsho.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom and welcome. Once again, welcome to our house. Welcome to this first Shabbat of the month of May. The Shabbat, in fact, that is on today, the first day of May as well. You know, I remember growing up in France. I don't know if you could tell that I have a little bit of a French accent, but growing up in France, I remember that on the 1st of May, people gifted each other flowers. They gifted each other flowers that are called in French muguet. And I think the equivalent of it is in English, it's called lily of the valley. And so everybody in France, probably not this year, but every year, gift each other lilies of the valley on this first day of May. But we're not in France, and we are still sheltering in place after that many weeks now. And we're going to celebrate Shabbat together through this recording, which is in fact like us giving you a bouquet of flowers. But this bouquet of flowers is in fact a bouquet of different recordings from past services that our master floral designer, Dianna Rose, is putting together in this gorgeous multicolored offering for you this Shabbat. We'll talk about some of my two favorite topics today from this week's Torah portion, because this week's Torah portion has probably one of the most famous verses in all of Torah: love your neighbor like yourself, as yourself. And it's one of the most known and least perhaps understood sentences in Hebrew. So we'll explore that, and that will connect us actually, as you will see in my talk, to the golden rule. So look forward to that later in this recording. But first, it's time, as we always do, as we enter into Shabbat, to light our candles. But you know, it's not the only thing we do on Shabbat. We create space. So I'd like you to take the time for now, just to close your eyes and to dedicate this time to dedicate this moment, to dedicate this day to your soul, to your inner experience, to create an eruv around you in your life. An eruv is a delineation that creates what is called tchum Shabbat, the Shabbat space, the Shabbat spaciousness. So that's what we are doing together right now. We are creating tchum Shabbat, the space and the time that we are carving out for matters of the soul. And as you open your eyes, I want to remind you that also as we enter into Shabbat, the other practice that we have is to give tzedakah, to do an act of righteousness, an act of justice, an act of support for those who are in need, for organizations who are struggling, for the people and the organization you want to support in your life that are nourishing you and feeding you and supporting you in these days of sheltering in place, of isolation. So maybe you might want to make Bet Aleph your tzedakah for this month, for this Shabbat. Find it online, find our donate page, and support what you love. So the third thing we do is we light our candles. So I'm going to give you a little time, if you haven't had the chance yet, to set up your candles as I have. And as you do that, as we do in the sanctuary when we get together, we're going to have our musicians lead us into some music, a song, to accompany us as we center ourselves before we light our candles. So go ahead and find your candles and set them up. We'll be waiting for you right here.
לפעמים נדמה שאין תקווה והכל נראה כל כך אפל ולא ידוע הפרחים עוד לא פרחו בגן ובשדה ובערב רק מכה הרוח אז בואו ונדליק ביחד
So welcome back. I hope you had the time to light your candles as I did while the music was playing. I decided to do the same thing as you and to light the candles now because, as you can see, the candles are behind me. So it's a little bit tricky to do it as I try to talk. So I took the opportunity of having the music playing to join you in lighting tonight. On this Shabbat, as we have for every Shabbat, there are a few of you who have been able to email the office to let us know what light of Shabbat you wanted to bring to our community tonight. And we received an email from Carolyn Geller, who is lighting a candle on this Shabbat for Michael Geller, her late husband and past president of Bet Aleph. We miss her and we miss him. And she says hello to all of you, her community of Bet Aleph. And Carolyn, we say hello right back to you. It's good to read your name. On the Shabbat, we also have Jackie Williams, who wanted to light a candle in memory of her friend, Marlene Klein, who died March 24th of this year. Marlene, Jackie tells us Marlene grew up in Seattle and was a good person who always thought of others and always looking for ways to help and support and be of service. And so we hold them in our heart. And as I invite you now to also find within yourself what it is you wish to bless on this Shabbat, what it is you are honoring, what it is you are grateful for on this Shabbat. The blessing for kindling the Shabbat candles is in your prayer book on page 1. We hope that you had the chance and the time to download it. Hopefully, after so many Shabbat online, you probably have a copy at home or several. We cover our eyes as we share the blessing to remind ourselves that the light we are blessing, though kindled on the outside, is reflected back on the inside. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת. Amen. We continue in your prayer book with a song. It is on page 18, toward the bottom. Ehyeh asher ehyeh. I am as I am.
Ehyeh asher ehyeh. Ehyeh asher I am as I am, Ehyeh asher ehyeh, Ehyeh asher
do one round without the music, just with the voices? No, continue the... Let's continue the round. Okay, let's do it again. All right. You're with Mike. You're with Celia. We're on top of page 5, and we're asked to rise for the call to blessing. So, I am. So who is blessing? I am. And who is blessing what? I am. Through us, through each and every one of us, I am blesses all the I ams. I am seeks to recollect, to remember the I am that expresses through every being, every word, every action. True blessing is a blessing that is not from the ego. I am not, this is not what is blessing. A blessing is an opening, a wide opening to the force of source that flows through us and says, Baruch Hu, bless. So become a channel. Become a conduit for that love, for that life, for that blessing. We say together, Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Bless the Eternal, the one who is blessing. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Blessed is I am, the one who is blessing eternally. At the top of page 6, as we continue to try to get out of the way, for the true blessing that is yearning to flow through us, we say these words, the words of oneness, the words of awakening, the words from our Torah, the words of the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Listen, Israel, the Eternal manifests as all that is. The Eternal is one. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Blessed is the name, the splendor of its presence shines eternally. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Please be seated. The words that follow the Shema are the most radical words you can find in Torah. They are the words of the Ve'ahavta. It says, now you can love the Eternal One in all its manifestations with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your energy. And that's truly radical. I mean, did you read this? To love all manifestations. The manifestations in the red states, and the manifestations in the blue states, the manifestations across all political platform, all religions, all modality of language, all gender identities, all its manifestations. Not certain manifestations, not the manifestation that we would prefer to love, and those we might not. This is telling us that the path to awakening, the path to knowing the one we truly are, the I am beyond the little I am, the practice toward that is to fall deeply and completely and totally in love with the whole thing, moment to moment, to live our lives with an open heart and healthy boundaries. Join me. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום
על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך, בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך, ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אמן.
Welcome back. So this is the time in our service where we take a look at what the weekly Torah portion is bringing for us to discover. And this week we are way into the book of Leviticus, and we open the pages to what our sages, our rabbis have called the Holiness Code. And in a few verses into the Holiness Code, we discover one of the most known proclamation in Torah, and I will venture to say probably the least understood. It says, "Ve'ahavta l're'echa kamocha ani yod-he vav-he," and it's usually translated as we have known it: "Love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Eternal." And this translation has always been a problem for me. And the reason is that I can't understand how anyone can be commanded to love. I mean, love isn't, as far as I can tell, something that can be controlled. It's definitely not something that can be manipulated. It's not something that can be ordered or imposed upon someone. And to top it all off, if my love for my neighbor is contingent on me loving myself, I'm sad to say, but my poor neighbor will have many days where he or she is going to go unloved. And I can't imagine that this is what God intended to tell us as part of the Holiness Code. So the truth of the matter is, as always, is that we have to go a little bit deeper and unpack the Hebrew to understand the deeper meaning of that injunction. Let's look at the first two words, ve'ahavta l're'echa. We know ve'ahavta because it is part of our liturgy, part of what we called, in fact, the ve'ahavta. It's an exclamation. It says love, just love. Le-re'echa. Re'echa, we'll see the meaning of that word, but re'echa is the word translated so far as neighbor. Le-re'echa. Le is the word that means in Hebrew that implies a directionality, that implies a movement toward my neighbor. And so right there, we could begin to translate the sentence a little bit differently, right? Including this movement toward our neighbor. We want to say now, act lovingly toward your neighbor. Act lovingly toward your neighbor. Now let's look at this word neighbor, re'echa. It is a fascinating word because its root, it's like the trunk of a giving tree. Well, maybe not a good image, but the trunk of a tree. And that tree has many branches. And yes, one of the branches is the possibility of creating a word that will be understood as neighbor. But another branch based on that root will give us the word friend. It gives us the word companion. Love your friend as yourself. Act lovingly toward your friend, your companion, as yourself. But then there's another branch. And that branch says that we can translate that word as shepherd. Shepherd. We use that word in the expression ro'eh tzon, the shepherd of a flock. Ro'eh, re'echa. So there already, the sentence could mean something else. Love your guide. Love that energy that guides you on the path of life. Love whatever you understand by shepherd, actually. But then there is another branch. And that branch says that you can use that word as meaning enemy, evil. Now that changes a lot. Love your enemy as one like yourself. See, what I love about the Hebrew is that it leaves it open. It leaves it open to interpretation. So if you only have one translation, you are missing the multidimensionality of what that word actually means. Friend, companion, shepherd, guide, neighbor, fine, but also enemy, evil presence. You love, you shall act lovingly toward whatever the word is for us. Now, how does that look like practically? Because, it's one thing to declare, to make such a proclamation, but how do we tachlis? How does the rubber meet the road? How do we live that? And I love that quote that all of us also know from Rabbi Hillel, who lived in the 1st century BCE. And he derived from this injunction and many others in Torah, the one practical guide, the one guiding principle for our lives. It's the story when he was asked to distill the essence of Torah while standing on one foot. And his answer was, his teaching was, a sentence he couched on purpose in the negative. He said, what is hateful to you, do not do to your neighbor. What is hateful to you, do not do to your neighbor. The rest is commentary. Now, go and study. What is hateful to you, do not do to your neighbor. Now, consider for a moment the endless ways this critical teaching applies in our individual lives all the way through to our global realities. Consider for a moment how carelessly and appallingly we fall short of such a simple yet profound teaching. Today we see that the states who are reopening the economy ahead of saving lives, we are seeing them failing, as far as I'm concerned, to understand both Hillel's teaching and the Torah's injunction. And perhaps there is a pattern here. There is a pattern of willfully declaring mission accomplished when nothing has been won yet, and all the data is screaming that it is too early to do so. I understand our yearning to go back to the everyday life that we have placed on hold for weeks now. But I would venture to say that it's really painting us, maybe Americans, into a people with very little resilience. very little resilience. And it also shows how greatly addicted to our lifestyle, to this life of Western privilege, we in fact are. In our rush to get things back to normal, we are missing again a great opportunity. And as far as I'm concerned, it is the same opportunity we missed after 9/11. It is the same opportunity we missed after the 2008 financial crisis. And we are missing it again today. And what we are missing is this opportunity to ask ourselves, what happened? How did we get here? And not just to trace back the domino effect of, how the disease, the coronavirus got propagated. There is something at the source of what we do that make this world, this way of life, prone to this kind of things happening. What have we done that we might suffer such consequences? There is something that we, you and me, or us globally, us as human beings living on this planet, need to look at. We need to pause for a moment and make ourselves really comfortable in our discomfort right here, right now, what we are experiencing, and ask the big questions. Ask the big questions. We have to pause, to find ourselves here and now and take a serious look at the addiction of our normal, quote unquote, lives. Because we have been gifted this time to look at it as if from the outside. We have been gifted this time for clear seeing and for re-evaluation. And we need to not rush, not yet. Because in our rush to reopen everything, to go back to normal, I'm not even talking about the health risk associated with making such a decision that could be disastrous. I'm not talking about even that. I'm talking about the fact that we haven't asked ourselves what that might truly look like. I mean, we haven't asked ourselves what normal might look like when we emerge from this. I mean, we have seen in the past couple months of our being absent, of our being confined to our homes, that our planet is doing better. Our ecosystem is regenerating. The air is becoming more breathable. There is less pollution. The animals are thriving. We have also seen, and we cannot ignore this again, the life-threatening consequences of the disparities in healthcare access, the poverties in our streets, in our neighbors, the systemic racism that has killed so many of our fellow Americans. Are we really going to go back to normal? Meaning, are we really wanting to go back to the way things were? Are we really going to re-embrace the kind of lifestyle that has brought this planet to its knees, that has stressed us, that has made us ill for generations now, that creates human beings sustained only by more medication, more caffeine, and more opioids? A lifestyle that has left millions of our neighbors to live in slums and food deserts without even access to running waters, as we've seen on our screens these past weeks. I'm asking with all my heart, are we really going to rush back to the way things were? Is that really what we want? And if not, what do we want? What do we want? And I wonder, I wonder if the governors who have already partially reopened their states, they have done so because they're so afraid that in our externally imposed prolonged rehab, we might in fact break free from the addiction to consumption. They are so vested, it seems, in keeping us enslaved to, tethered to the machine. But if you were the governor of our state, if you were now the governor of our state, what would you want to see the new normal be? Because as far as I'm concerned, that's how big the question must be. Because big questions such as this involves active legislative pressure right now at the state level. We'll deal with the federal level in November, but right now we've seen the power of the governors, the powers of our states. There are things we can do right here, right now, to be a light into the unfolding of a different future. So I'm asking you to think deeply. If you were governor of our state, what would you want to see the new normal be as we reopen? As we reopen. And to me, there is a even deeper underlying question to all of this. One that, in fact, might have stopped us from truly loving our neighbor as ourselves, to truly loving our enemy as ourselves, to truly loving our friends and our guides, whatever we understand that word to be, as ourselves, because we have not clearly been able to do that. And I'll tell you a story that I think exemplifies that deeper mystical teachings from the story of two Hasidic masters, two great mystical figures in Eastern Europe, the Rebbe of Zlotsov and the Rebbe of Nikolsburg. And the two of them were deeply debating, understanding that sentence in the book of Leviticus. Love your neighbor as yourself. But they debated it, including all the words. See, when we have that sentence that we all know, love your neighbor as yourself, the last two words are always omitted. It's not the end of the sentence. It actually says, "Ve'ahavta lere'echa kamocha, ani yod he vav he." Love your neighbor as yourself. I am the eternal. And the mystics have to include those two words in their understanding, because it's no mistake. Why should you love your neighbor as yourself? Because I am the eternal. Because I am the eternal. Because I am is every I am. Because I am Yud He Vav He. And so the Rebbe of Nikolsburg was asking, I understand that we can love our friends as ourselves, but how do we love our enemies? That was his question. That was his wrestling. But the Rebbe of Zatzlov brought him back to the mystical understanding of the Hasidim and said, you are forgetting. You are forgetting the teachings of Kabbalah. You are forgetting the teachings of our masters. That you and your fellow human are a single soul. That person who has done you harm has done you harm due to their lack of awareness of that truth. And if and when you strike him back, you will do the exact same. You will have collapsed from that understanding. I am Yud He Vav He. And so the Rebbe of Zotzlov told his fellow, he said, the soul, you have to think that everything comes from God. You have to remember that everything comes from God. And that also God has many emissaries. God shows up in many different ways. But we know that the soul of each person is a part of God. So you have to have compassion for God as you meet the other. You have to have compassion for God, since it clearly seems that one of his holy sparks has become really trapped in a very thick shell in that one container, in that one person. And see, the Rebbe could only derive this teaching because he included the last words in the sentence, I am Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, I am the eternal. I am the I am that is you, that is me, just as I am the I am, expressing through every neighbor, every companion, every friend, every foe. And those who act in evil ways toward others have tragically, as we see today, have tragically forgotten the divine spark in themselves and in others. In themselves and in others. In fact, because they have forgotten it in themselves, they are not able to see it in others, because it is buried underneath the shells of the deluded, separate sense of self. ואהבת לרעך כמוך. You must first know I am the eternal for yourself. And then you will love your neighbor, your enemy, your guide, your companion as yourself. Here is a way that I'm going to leave you with to read and know this sentence. Act lovingly toward your neighbor as one who, like you, like yourself, is I am, is Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. Act lovingly toward your neighbor as someone who is like yourself, who is Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. Ken Yehi Ratzon. Let it be thy will. And let us say, Amen.
This one is holy.
And we continue with a few moments of meditation. So find a comfortable sitting position and close your eyes and gently find your breath. I invite you every time you exhale to see if you can relax the body. See if you can relax the belly. See if you can relax the muscles of the face. To gently let go into the moment with each out breath. To surrender into now, into here. And before you let yourself be overwhelmed by thoughts, see if you can remain conscious and aware of every breath cycle of your body. I'm going to invite you, perhaps to make it easier, and for some of us it will be, not for everybody, to either stay right here, observing the body breathing in, observing the body breathing out, or if you'd like to give the mind something to do, instead of having the mind trying to pull you away from this practice. Since we have been talking about the name of God, Yud-He-Vav-He, as understanding ourselves to be its expression, its manifestation, its aliveness. To use the 4 letters of that name, the Yud, the He, the Vav, and the He, as our mantra for this meditation. As we observe the body breathing in, to see if we know the Hebrew, or to say Yud in our heart. As we exhale, to say or see the letter He. As we inhale again, to see or say Vav in our heart. As we exhale again, to say He, or to see the letter He in our hearts. Now, because we are using the name of God, there is an added necessity to really stay present. There's an added injunction to stay present. This is, after all, the finger pointing to the divine. So we'll continue in the silence, but I'll just give you a little tip. Keep your awareness on the breath. Don't let the mantra of the 4 letters cause you to modify the breath, to try to control the breath, to try to follow a certain kind of rhythm, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 is a very easy pattern to follow. Instead, to let the breath be your guide, be your shepherd, be your friend. And to pay attention to the body breathing in, and when it breathes in, then on top of that, to add the yud. To watch the body breathe out, and when the body breathes out, to, on top of that, say hey. Now, if you find yourself trying to control, to give a certain rhythm to your meditation, here's the tip. At the end of your next out breath, wait. Just wait for the body to be ready to breathe in again. You don't have to do anything. The body will know when it needs to breathe in. And you just watch, and you just wait. Aware and relaxing. Aware and releasing. Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. I am the one I am. I am. 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 And we let the energies of our meditation, of our practice, of our knowing the one that is everyone, reach beyond the walls of our homes, of our communities, to reach those we know to be in need of healing, that they might know the oneness within them as well, the healing presence in their heart. On this Shabbat, we hold in light of healing those you have written on our healing list. Craig Wilson, Daniel Clark, Hillary Wilson, Phyllis Levin and Mike Levin, Farhan Hassan, Yitzchak Leib, Ben Bertha ve'Aharon, Dave Malkoff, Maxwell Bernard, Susanna Davis, David Mark, Rebecca Risman, Mi Lagerberg, Richard Aharon BenHaim, Brooke Hamilton, Dr. Gladys McGarry, Rivka Bat Reuven veMiriam, Michael Standish, Chuck Balch, Eldon Olson, Susan Austin, Linda Morris, Elizabeth Heath, Judy Robertson, Stanley Suffren, Marilyn Watlers, Hirsch Simon, Megan L. Sayed, Brad MacDonald, Janet Crawley, Shane Simcha, Shalom Shmuel ben Michael Veruchul Chana, Mary Roufa Miriam Bat Moshe Velea, Don Worms, Peter Metzger. And we name in our hearts the names of those we know to be in need of healing as well. We hold as a community those still suffering from the coronavirus in light of healing. May they recover speedily soon. And we share with them on page 34 of our prayer book, Debri Friedman's Misha Berach. Welcome back. As you can see, I have opened the ark, which means it's time for the Aleinu. We are on page 12 of your prayer book, and I invite you to join me. We are the ones given this way of praising the Holy One of all being, that we might understand and express the greatness of the one who shapes all creation. We celebrate our uniqueness and that of others, and seek to discover the wonder that we are. Therefore, we bend the knees, we bow, and we proclaim our gratitude before the ruler of all rulers, the Holy One of all being. As it is said, then we shall truly realize the Eternal One as universal being. And on that day, the unity of being shall be celebrated by all. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. And we continue on page 13 with the Mourner's Kaddish. At the time of memory, we hold in our minds the presence of those who have journeyed a little bit with us on this plane of existence, those who are continuing on their journey beyond this plane of existence, who are merging again with the light of being they have always been. On this Shabbat, we hold special light of memory for those who have made their transition in recent days and weeks. John Prine, Mary Squeeze. On the Shabbat, we also hold in light of memory the names of those you have inscribed on our memorial list, those who have made their transition in the past year. Anne Koloff Klein, Justina Lamphere, Farin Rebecca Loeb, Eva Ruth Ansel, Scott Busby, Larry Lactrup, Angela Babu, Barbara Bell, Robert Paul Litz, Patricia Dohoney, Lori Scooge, Kenneth Klein, Al Kalish, Marty Leeser, Becky Ben, Martin Amadeus Rassert, Don Krupkin, Pamela Mary Bulch, John Philip Bulch, Emma Norton, Teddy Freeman, Virginia Calvo, Marsha Jaffe, Lawton Wypies, Millard Petersky, Deborah Batts, Marian Marika Gordon, Stella Altwies, Mary Rose, Dan Klein, Eleanor Gerber, Charlotte Klein, Alberta Itzroth, Avraham Ben Moshe Veshendel, Marlene Klein. On this Shabbat, we also hold in light of memory those whose yahrzeit, the anniversary of their transition, happens at this time of the year. Ase Gronlund, Beatrice Miller, Christopher Nguyen, Daniel Riordan, Dr. Ludwig Fabel, Fern Safran, Jeanette Yanni, Pearl Mermenstein Stoll, Rose Wolf, Sylvia Bernard, Elton Heath. And we name all those we remember on this Shabbat as we share together the Mourner's Kaddish on page 13. Yitgadal v'yitkadash שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה ברכו, לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא, ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום, עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן. May the one who creates harmony above make peace for us, for all the household of Israel, and for all the peoples of the world. And let us say, Amen. I'd like to invite you to turn to the next page, to page 14, and to share together in the Yevarechecha. We bless within all of us the divine masculine and the divine feminine presence. And as we bless the divine feminine, we say, Yesimech Elohim kesara Rivka Leah v'Rachel. May God make you like Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel. And as we bless the divine masculine within all of us, we say, Yesimcha Elohim ke'Ephraim u'ke'Menashe. May God make you like Ephraim and Menashe. Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'yasem lecha shalom. The Eternal One blesses and keeps you always. The light of the Eternal Presence shines upon you with grace. The Eternal Presence awakens within you and brings you peace. Amen. There's a few things we still need to do. First is the Kiddush. So if you have, grab a Kiddush cup and a little bit of wine or juice, whatever is fitting. You can pause this recording right now. I am pouring myself a little bit of wine and I will be waiting for you. So don't worry, just go ahead. We'll wait for you right here. And now that you have wine in your Kiddush cup, we share together in the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, be'ahava u'vratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit, ki hu yom techila למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת, מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. אמן. לחיים. I was going to invite you to find a challah to cluster around, but unfortunately, we are not there yet. But I have brought my challah with my challah cover, which I am uncovering now. I'm not going to need to eat the whole thing, so that's enough. Join me. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, המוציא לחם מן הארץ. Amen. There is one more blessing we have to do, because we are still counting the days of Omer. And we have just entered into Shabbat. We have entered into Shabbat, which means that we are no longer on the 22nd day of the Omer, but we're not yet, not until tomorrow, in the 24th day of the Omer. So join me. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, Vetzivanu al Sfirat HaOmer. Blessed are you, Eternal One, our God, universal creative presence, the one who sanctifies us with paths of holiness, the one who gifts us paths of mindfulness, who has gifted us this path of counting the days of Omer. Today is the 23rd day of the Omer, comprising 3 weeks and 2 days of the Omer. Amen. Well, thank you for joining us on this celebration of Shabbat. We hope this was meaningful to you. As always, as I close, I want to say how much I miss you, how much I miss our sanctuary and the opportunity for us to be together again. But I know that the day is coming, and I know that we must make sure to take the time as we step into a new beginning, that it is infused with all the lessons that we have learned from these weeks and months, and that it is the seed that propels us asking ourselves the big questions, that propels us to seed a different kind of future for ourselves, for our neighbors, which we love as ourselves, and for our planet. Ken Yehi Ratzon. Here's my hug. I hug all of us, all of you, and we'll see you very soon. Stay home, stay healthy, be safe, and take care. Shabbat Shalom.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, nafshiyeka, hallelujah, nafshiyeka, hallelujah, nafshiyeka, hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. You know that. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.